Coming up next on NCC News at 4, a local gun store owner's reaction after today's gun rights rally in Albany.
And Central New York reflects as the Pope steps down.
Ahead on NCC News, I'll have your full weather forecast. A rainy and gloomy day for Syracuse today. Will the rain turn into snow? Plus, I'll have all the details about this weekend's weather for those of you planning on traveling to the Dome.
Not putting your money in the meter? Well, Syracuse officials are looking for a new way to have people who aren't paying up get the boot. NCC News at 4 starts right now.
Coming up next. Parking in downtown Syracuse might get a little trickier in the near future. Good evening, I'm Matt Raponi.
And I'm Heather Fontaine. A new traffic proposal from the Syracuse Common Council could mean a higher chance of getting a boot put on your car. That's our top story tonight.
If you have parking tickets piling up, you may want to pay up. Rachel Marcus explains how a new proposal would force people to cash in.
There's a new proposal in place by the Syracuse Common Council that could see more cars being booted. The city of Syracuse is looking to an outside company to enforce the booting of cars with 3 or more unpaid parking tickets, and it could affect thousands of cars sooner than you'd think. Get ready to pay your parking tickets unless you want to get the boot. Literally. The Syracuse Common Council is proposing a new program where cars with more than 3 tickets will get a boot. Over 19,000 bootable cars are in Syracuse now. They're worth over $7 million in fines. It's money the city of Syracuse needs.
Still, there's a large sum of money out there that we feel that the city can benefit from getting those funds back.
An outside company called Paylock would do the booting instead of the busy Syracuse police. If your car is booted, you have to pay your tickets before it is released.
Not happy when their car gets booted, but hopefully this will be an incentive for them to pay their tickets early.
There has been a booting program since 2007, but it was hard to get the police out to enforce it, and it wasn't a priority. Right now, there's only so much enforcement the city can handle.
And if people don't pay their parking, there's about 8 or 10 of us out here that are going to make sure that somebody gets ticketed, booted, or towed, and it's their responsibility to make sure they take care of their parking.
The council will determine the future of the program on a vote next week at a committee meeting. Paylock will be present and will produce a presentation that will be made. For now, though, it's best to pay up to avoid being booted in the future. If the program goes into effect and your car is booted, you will have to pay your parking tickets before the boot can be removed.
Well, some downtown Syracuse businesses are concerned that the new policy will affect their business. Others believe their customers will rely more on public transportation.
I see residential reuse as a number of people don't have cars. And they're going to, I think with that, there'll be an increase in public transportation.
A major bowling tournament is coming to Syracuse in 2018. The Open Championships is a 4-month tournament and is expected to bring nearly 80,000 visitors to the downtown area. This will be the 5th time the city has hosted the tournament, and it's expected to bring in a lot of revenue. Thousands of anti-gun control advocates went to Albany today to protest against New York State's new gun laws. The rally is organized by the New York branch of the National Rifle Association, and more than 200 Central New Yorkers took a bus trip to Albany to participate in the outdoor rally and meet with lawmakers. Protesters say the gun law was passed too quickly with no input from the public.
It's going to say something to the governor. There's more and more counties get involved. The State Sheriff's Association said they are in favor of it, do away with it. There's a lot of pressure that there's so many things they want to amend to it, you may as well get rid of the whole thing.
Pope Benedict has officially stepped down. He flew off from the Vatican in a helicopter with bells ringing across Rome. He pledges unconditional obedience to whoever succeeds him to lead the Roman Catholic Church. He is the first pope in 6 centuries to step down. And many Catholics of Central New York joined together earlier today to honor Pope Benedict. The Immaculate Conception Cathedral held a special mass that gave the church an opportunity to reflect on their faith. One local priest says Benedict was very courageous for making this decision.
The impact of sequestration cannot be underestimated because at the very time many of our passengers are contemplating that next business trip.
The need of the church today, and has been for who's alert, who's vibrant, who's healthy, who is able to endure the schedule that he has. He himself has come to realize, I can't do it. I'm not well enough.
The impending federal government sequester could impact air travel for months if it's allowed to go into effect tomorrow. The across-the-board spending cuts Congress has been debating will affect airport security budgets nationwide. Cuts to TSA staff could mean longer lines at airport security, especially during spring break and summer travel seasons when airports are busiest.
The impact of sequestration cannot be underestimated because at the very time many of our passengers are contemplating that next business trip or the family vacation.
Gang violence has terrorized Syracuse for years, and a new program launched on Wednesday aims to strike a blow to these gangs. The Syracuse Truce program will hold gangs accountable for individual members' acts of gang violence. It has been made possible by a $300,000 grant.
Well, here in Syracuse, we all woke up to a gloomy and rainy day. Our weathercaster, Mr. Elena Agolfopoulos, is on the patio with current conditions and what to expect for the rest of the day. Mr. Elena, how's it looking out there?
That's right. We did wake up to a rainy and gloomy Syracuse today. I've been out here for the past 10 minutes, and all of a sudden a downpour of freezing rain came our way. It lasted for about 5 minutes, and it ended about 2 minutes ago. Right now the temperatures are around 37 degrees, but let me tell you, it's actually a little bit colder out here. It feels around 32 degrees. The barometer is reading at 29 inches. Humidity is at 76%, and the winds are coming in from the northwest at 6 miles per hour. Looking at what's to come ahead tonight and tomorrow, we should be expecting the same combo of snow and light rainfall, but we might be seeing some sun. That's right, sun. Stay tuned for my full weather forecast that's to come ahead. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Mr. Lena. And coming up after the break, a transgender first grader is being forced to change bathrooms, and parents are calling it discrimination.
How one school district is walking the fine line between fairness and discrimination.
Take the mic off.
Only one day remains before the automatic spending cuts go into effect, and Democrats and Republicans are still divided on coming up with a solution. The $85 billion cuts are set to kick in tomorrow. President Obama is meeting with congressional leaders before then, but political analysts say it's not looking hopeful.
It was said very clearly, you will regret doing this.
Bob Woodward says a very senior White House person sent him that warning over email after he slammed President Obama over the sequester cuts. A Colorado school rules that a transgender first grader has to switch bathrooms. 6-year-old Coy Mathis was born with a boy's body but identifies as a girl and is being raised as a girl by her family. In kindergarten, she used the girl's bathroom without a problem. Her parents are calling this discrimination.
What they're doing is discriminating, forcing her to use a separate bathroom from all the rest of the kids, or forcing a little girl to go in the boys' room, and that's not okay.
The former Army private Bradley Manning is pleading guilty to 10 of the 22 charges against him for the WikiLeaks scandal. The scandal was the biggest leak of classified material in U.S. history. If the judge accepts his plea, Manning will face up to 20 years in prison.
I am proud to announce that the United States of America will be providing an additional $60 million immediately in non-lethal assistance to support the coalition.
Secretary of State John Kerry is stepping up the U.S. involvement in the conflict in Syria. His $60 million pledge to Syrian rebels is in addition to over $300 million in humanitarian aid. The money will be used to rebuild areas of the country already liberated by the rebel forces. U.S. advisors will meet with the Syrian coalition at their headquarters in Cairo to ensure the money is used properly. A Turkish news agency says police have arrested 11 people suspected of al-Qaeda links and seized 55 pounds of plastic explosives. It says police found charts and photographs of the U.S. consulate, a synagogue, and a church in Istanbul. Police in Istanbul refused comment on the report. A fourth person has died today, one day after an employee opened fire in a wood factory in the Swiss city of Lucerne. The shooter killed 2 coworkers and himself yesterday and wounded 6 others. Police say the weapon was a handgun, but added they are investigating if it was obtained illegally. It is unclear why the gunman opened fire. And police in Sydney have intercepted a methamphetamine shipment worth $450 million. Authorities found the drugs hidden among cleaning chemicals in an ocean container coming from China. Police say 3 men were arrested and added more arrests could follow. Nearly 1,300 pounds of meth were kept off the streets, making this the largest bust in Australian history. Sandstorms swept across Beijing and northwest China Thursday morning, shrouding the air with sand and dust. Many people wore face masks in order to protect themselves. According to the local weather center, some areas of the city will continue to see sandstorms for the next 12 hours. And that's what's happening around the world.
Coming up, the snow has melted, but will it hit again? And if you're planning on attending SU's home game against Louisville, this weekend NCC News weathercaster Mr. Elena Agolfapulu will have the full weekend forecast. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Even though it's been raining all day, temperatures have been pretty mild compared to the cold days we had a week ago.
But will temperatures low and will the snow return? NCC News weathercaster Mr. Elena Agolfopoulou is in the studio now with the full weather forecast for the week. Mr. Elena, you mentioned sun?
That's right, Heather. I did mention sun, but let's get back to that in a little bit and talk about current temperatures and what happened today. See, I headed to Walnut Park, as you can see here behind me, and there, this park was full of snow just 3 days ago, and now there's practically nothing there. That's because of the high temperatures that we've been getting the past few days here in Syracuse. They've definitely been higher than 32 because, most of the snow has melted, and they've been closer to 40. Right now, the temperature is around 37 degrees. The barometer is reading 29 and 58 inches. Humidity is at 76%, and winds are coming in from the northwest at 6 miles per hour. Now, if you are planning on doing something tonight, you should want to know that it's going to be a little bit chillier. That's because of the higher winds that we're going to get tonight. It's going to be around 7 miles per hour, so it's going to make the temperatures feel a little bit colder, practically or approximately around 25 degrees, but you should be getting the same snow and rain combo just like you have. Now, looking at central New York, and on that topic, the rain and snow has been coming in. As you can see here, all of this green is the rain, and around it, there's been a lot of white snow coming in sporadically throughout the day. That's why we've been getting, a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow. But looking at the temperatures across central New York, well, the temperatures, there we go, have been the same throughout the area. Syracuse has been 38, Rochester at 37, Binghamton at 35, and Watertown has, is pretty high up there, but still, it's only been just 3 degrees colder. Now, if we're looking at our 5-day forecast, you should expect the same weather conditions like we did today. The mix of rain and snow will be hitting the area sporadically tomorrow with high temperatures of 38 and low temperatures of 30, same for Saturday, but expect lower temperatures with a high of 33 and a low of 26. Sunday will mostly be cloudy with temperatures at 24 degrees. Monday, high 28 and low 25. And yes, your eyes are not fooling you. We will be seeing some sun on Tuesday, even though temperatures will be low. Now, if you're planning on going to SU's home game against Louisville this weekend, here's what you should expect for Saturday's weather. The temperature will be pretty chilly at 27 degrees, and winds are expected to blow from the northwest at 12 miles per hour. These high winds bring the feels like to 16 degrees. It's going to be cold, so make sure you bundle up, as it tends to get pretty windy around the dome. Now, snow showers and rain are expected to hit the area around 1 p.m., so you won't actually see them until after the game is over and you step outside of the dome.
Well, Mr. Elena, with all this precipitation, I wouldn't be surprised if flowers were soon to come. And that's why the CNY in Bloom Home and Garden Show returns to Syracuse and the CRC Arena at the Onondaga Community College this weekend, with exhibits, entertainment, and more. 15,000 guests are expected through Sunday at the Gardening, Cooking, and Wellness Expo. Organizers say that in its 7th year, CNY Bloom has expanded far beyond expectations.
And we have grown from a flower and garden show to a living leisure lifestyle show, and the floor is sold out for the first year ever. We have over 125 vendors.
I'm Alexa Greenberg. Coming up in sports, SU looks to upset number 10 Louisville this weekend at the Dome and find out which SU player gave a little too much at the NFL Combine this weekend. Stay tuned. Now, what comes to mind when you think of women's roller derby? Well, it sure isn't like anything I've ever seen. I caught up with the Ladies Death and Derby Society in Oneida to check out what exactly this growing sport is about. From teens to moms to teachers and college students, these women can only be described as one word: athletes. The ever-growing sport is dominated by female athletes, proving only that women are just as tough as the guys.
So it was like started by women, and it kind of grew up as this grassroots women's sport, which is really cool because there aren't many just women's sports.
Ladies Death and Derby Society started 2 years ago when team leaders Pippi Leatherstocking and Texas Terror formed the group. As for the names, players are able to choose an alternate persona to skate with.
A lot of things that roller derby involves breaks a lot of the normal rules for being a good girl. So, you know, the normal me would not go around running into people. But when I'm Texas Terror, I can go and I can do that. And I don't have to worry about being polite, and I can just be an athlete.
Despite all the pushing and shoving, these women call themselves a family who are always there for each other when they need it.
It's nice to be able to connect with women that you maybe wouldn't come into contact with normally, and to share something where you really do rely on each other a lot in this sport.
Don't let that fool you, though. Roller derby is a very physical and full contact sport. Injuries do happen.
You know, you might be putting yourself more in harm's way. Putting yourself on skates and hitting people.
Now, all the players do wear pads, helmets, and mouth guards to protect themselves. And luckily, none of these women on Ladies Death and Derby have anything more than a few bruises. Now, the Orange are looking to bounce back after their 2 straight losses to number 7 Georgetown and number 22 Marquette. This Saturday, Syracuse takes on number 10 Louisville to the Carrier Dome. The SU offense has been a bit shaky the past few games, and a win over Louisville could keep them back on track. The game tips off at noon. And SU safety Shamiko Thomas gave it all he had at the NFL Combine this week, including his heart and his head. The Syracuse safety clocked the fastest time for the defense back in the 40-yard dash at 4.42 seconds, but not without making the news for a less than impressive spill afterwards. Despite the fall, Thomas was seen as one of the top performers at the Combine. Turning now to the NBA, even with Steph Curry's stellar NBA season high performance, 54 points, including 11 three-pointers, it was still not enough for his Golden State Warriors to knock off the New York Knicks in a close matchup last night. The Knicks outlasted the Warriors 109-105. Leading the Knicks was Carmelo Anthony with 35 points and Tyson Chandler with 16. And the San Francisco 49ers have reportedly agreed to trade former #1 draft pick Alex Smith to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for 2 draft picks. Smith was lost starting his job to Colin Kaepernick this past season while he was out with a concussion. The trade won't be official until March 12th.
Thanks, Alexa. And coming up after the break, looking for a little happiness? We'll tell you where to go.
Find out which is the happiest state in the union and which one isn't so happy. Stay tuned.
Well, they don't call it the Aloha State for nothing. Hawaii ranked the happiest state in the country according to a Gallup Well-Being Index. That makes 4 years running. The index considers several factors, including health and work satisfaction. Could be the beaches or the beautiful weather, but Hawaiians are least likely to have daily worry or stress.
But apparently people aren't quite as happy in West Virginia. The state ranked last in the index for the 4th year in a row.
Well, pretty interesting, Heather. I kind of wonder where New York ranked.
Well, we've got Syracuse University, New York City, Niagara Falls. I'd say it's a pretty happy state.
That'd be pretty good. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Raponi.
And I'm Heather Fontaine. Thanks for watching, Syracuse.